now let's talk a little bit about, I guess, the esoterics. How did the symbol name and the sky blue color of Nexus come to being? So, was there any reason, to call it a Nexus, and have the, I guess, uh, the symbol of Saturn, or maybe a planet or something, or a moon, or yeah, just talk a little bit about that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a very good question. The symbolic aspects of Nexus, definitely. Symbolically, Nexus, I wanted it to mean, as you've probably noticed by now through most of this interview, everything we do is multifaceted, right? It designs something for multiple purposes. So Nexus is, a network. You could say that, the original Cisco routers were actually called Nexus routers. I think it was in the Blade Runner is the name of those AI things, right? Nexus is a really synonymous name. I didn't choose it because it's so synonymous, but because it means a connection or series of connections linking two or more things, right? So the idea of Nexus is a network of computers. It could also be a network of satellites. It can be an internet protocol. Instead of calling it the internet, it's just Nexus, right? Which ultimately it makes a lot more sense than calling it intranet. And it's also a nexus of people, right? It's a community of people. It can be a nexus of economies. It's a financial nexus. Like there's so many loaded expressions of that word, and that's why I wanted it to be called that, because it encompasses all the possible things, right? If you have even decentralized power grids where people are pushing power to one another, that's a nexus too. It's a local power nexus, right? Communication, I mean, a nexus of ideas, right? Which ultimately is a lot of the ideas of different people and their suggestions. They're like, hey, it'd be cool if you could do this. Be like, cool, I'll figure out how to do that. And then I figure it out, or I'll get an idea and be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And they'll be like, oh, I could use that for this. This is awesome, right? So it's a nexus of ideas. It's a community, driven idea. And the logo is interesting. I think we finally got that logo. It took 3 years almost to come up with that logo. We went through so many logos, and it was really a community driven logo development. I think we originally had like the coin shield was like a little shield stack of coins, and then went to Nexus, and then it was just like Nexus with the big X, if you remember the old Nexus logo from 2015. And then some members of the community were experimenting, especially when the satellites came around, and they created that nice little circular Earth logo, which is a satellite orbiting, right, or a planet or a moon, or I guess you could say it does kind of look like a ring of Saturn, which is interesting too. It's an orbit showing like the orbiting of what Nexus is here ultimately to do. It's creating this new communication infrastructure. And so it was really cool how that all tied together. And I really liked that logo was developed by the community. It was something that they envisioned, I guess, from the content of everything that I was developing. And I was when I saw it first, I was like, that logo is perfect. It's a beautiful logo. It's really nice, clean branding. The blue color, I think, was just the color of the logo naturally, and blue's my favorite color, blue and gold. I like those colors too. So it just feels so refreshing, when you're just like, oh, look at this blue, I just want to drink it. It's like water, life, and all that other stuff, which it really is. Like, there's some interesting pictures if you look at the old pictures of astronauts in space, and they have this kind of blue orb around them too. So it seems like there's something with blue in life. I don't know, the sky, blue, oxygen, water, everything. So, yeah. So, giving life, I guess you could say, is what the blue would symbolize. And, developing trust too. I found this later out down the line, actually, when some marketing people came in, that the psychological association subconsciously with blue is trust, which we have a trust system, right? The more trust you develop in the system, the more you get paid, and so on and so forth. So it's another aspect too. I didn't intend it to be just to represent trust, but I thought it was an interesting byproduct. Finding out later down the road, it's like, oh, that's crazy. All these webs of different events come together in this one thing. And I guess that the branding and the colors and the logo and the name and all that kind of were developed over many years. And yeah, those are the fundamental reasons why.
Yeah.